Welcome to another edition of Your Eye on the Western Hockey League. In this edition, we chat with Wenatchee Wild head coach Don Nachbaur as we look forward to another season with the Wenatchee Wild in the Western Hockey League. We're joined in studio by the voice of the Wenatchee Wild, Austin Draude. Let's jump in now as we do our mic check. Give me a level there, Austin.
1 2 1 2.
Say hi, Don Nachbaur. What's your favorite NHL team now?
My favorite NHL team now?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be the teams I played for. We'll start with the Hartford Whalers since they're extinct. I'll be political.
What did the Hartford Whalers become?
They are now the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So do you still follow them or no?
Not really.
Understood.
I mean, I follow the NHL, but not specifically that team. They're a pretty good franchise, though. They've had some good success in the last 10 years. So.
Yeah, our GM for the Kraken, Ron Francis, he was part of that success.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He played with you. Didn't he play in your era? He was a Hartford Whaler, wasn't he?
He was. I played 1 year with Ronnie, and then I got traded to the Edmonton Oilers. So I do know him, yep.
So when you were in Edmonton, did you get any ice time with the Great One?
I was in Edmonton. I played 5 games. I was there for the first month and a half, and then I got shipped out to their farm team. So, of course, I played with all those guys, with Coffey, Messier, Gretz, and that year that I was in Edmonton, 82-83 season, the team lost to the New York Islanders 4 straight, and then when I got traded to the LA Kings, they went on a run of 2, 3 years or 4 years in a row of winning Stanley Cups.
Yeah, wow.
So the dynasty was being built in the early 80s, and I was lucky to be in the locker room with some of those guys.
Don Nachbaur, head coach of the Wenatchee Wild. We're joined in studio here, the Roadmap studio, with my good friend Austin Draude. You're the play-by-play guy for the Wenatchee Wild. Hi, what's going on, man?
How are you?
Good. So,
Hey, Austin.
How are you, Don?
Hanging in there, just trying to get sorted out here for training camp, and we've been working hard the last few days and dotting the old I's and crossing the T's and making sure that we're organized heading into training camp. So we're all looking forward to it. Exciting time.
So give us the schedule of when do the veterans play? When do they show up?
Well, they're showing up early next week with testing. And then our camp starting on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And, we should have a real good contingent of guys coming to camp here. A lot of holdovers from last year coming back, a lot of young kids. And it's a real eye-opener for the young guys coming to a Western Hockey League camp for the first time at 15 years old. So it's an exciting time. And for me, coming back to Wenatchee, as you guys all both know, my son played here, so I spent a lot of time in Wenatchee watching him play. And, of course, I got a relationship with both Clarkey and Bliss from doing camps with these guys. When I was coaching pro, I was coming over and just being an eye in the sky, looking at players and helping out a little bit. But we've run camps together before, so, it's all things considered, it's not new being in Wenatchee, but it is because it's the first time I've ever been a coach here, so I'm excited about it.
Looking at the top, we see 3 20-year-olds coming in. Evan Friesen, who had a good productive season for us last year. Kenta Isogai, he's an amazing skater. And Daniel Hauser will be between the pipes and goal.
Isogai brings it in, 2-on-1, across, one-timer, they score! Kenta Isogai, shorthanded!
Between the two of you, what do we know about Kenta Isogai? Because in Game 5, he got a great goal, and then in that goal versus Kelowna, in the first round of the playoffs, he hurt his knee. Is there any updates on his injury update?
As far as I'm hearing, all green light. Everything's good there. And I think you touched on the overages. They're really important guys on your junior hockey team. Kenta is a game breaker. He's got that offensive ability that when he touches the puck, the game can change. So it's nice to have a guy like that in your lineup. And with Friesen, we know he's highly skilled. And I'm speaking of having not seen these guys. I've watched a little bit of videotape on them. I don't want to pass judgment on players until I actually been on the ice, viewed them throughout practices and watch them in games. a lot of stuff that you see in practice, it's not the same as a game where it's more competitive, and it's hard to emulate that in practices. But I think I'll get a pretty good read on all our young guys that are here to make the team, and all the returning players, just their commitment to the game itself, and where we're going to stand throughout those exhibition games. Because, as I said, it's a lot easier reading a player when he's out on the ice playing against Tri-City Americans or the Seattle Thunderbirds, because it's going to be more competitive. It's going to be a lot more intense. So you get to see their how they read the game, how they react to situations, how competitive they are. And at the end of the day, it's, I think we'll have a clear picture once camp's completed and we've gone through those exhibition games on each player and where they stand within your organization.
Right. Don Nachbaur, when this squad shows up and you're able to split the teams up and have them inter-scrimmage, what's the mark of a Don Nachbaur team? What's your personality? What kind of team do you like to have on the ice, personality-wise?
Well, yeah, that's. I could say that we're going to play this style, but it's all related to the talent you have, the abilities they have. So, in other words, I could say we'd be a run and gun team, but if we're not a highly skilled skating team, then I don't think that that's conducive to the style of play that we're going to play. So just being a veteran coach, I'm going to sit back and allow the players to play the way they do, and then our structure will be formed after that, just based on, again, their skill sets and the type of players they are. What I'd like to see, and something that I've always prided myself in, is our teams that I've coached always worked and always competed. Because without those two traits, you won't go far in hockey. It leads to winning. I think it's a brand of hockey fans like to see, because when fans are paying money to watch your team play, they expect the team to work, and that's where I come from with our players. We'll develop really good habits. If they have bad habits, we'll be breaking those and try to create new habits. And one of those is you put on the skates and you go out on that ice, get ready to work. And I think that, guys will be highly conditioned, and that's all part of being an athlete and playing at a high level, that you got to be in good shape to carry pace. And I expect our team to play with lots of pace.
When you say good habits, good work habits, always compete, do you also put an emphasis on how they eat, when they're away from the rink?
Of course. I think these guys make a huge commitment, same commitment I made when I was 15, 16 years old. We had to leave home to play a higher competitive hockey, and a lot of smaller towns in Canada and the U.S., they don't have competitive hockey, so you got to pack your bags and go live with a new family. Could be 100 miles away, could be 500 miles, and in my case, it was a couple thousand miles away from my hometown, but that's a huge commitment when you're a young guy, and the reason why you do that is you're chasing a dream to play in the National Hockey League and become a professional. So part of that process is you got to take care of yourself. You got to go to bed at night so that when you wake up, you're rested to go back to work, and you've got to eat properly. So there's a huge emphasis on nutrition, huge emphasis on conditioning, and then, of course, the last thing would be learning and trying to get better every day. It's a big one. A lot of kids, when I talk about habits, don't view practice the same way I do. You go on that ice at the end of the practice, you want to make sure you come off and say you made yourself better, and that comes paying attention to details, where you place your stick, how you take an angle at a player. Make sure you're evaluating yourself on did you give it everything you had, because I think a lot of kids view practice as let's just get through this and get out on the street and get home. To be a pro, you've got to have that mentality, get better every day.
What's the phrase I think I remember hearing? If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and that's the truth. And Michael Jordan was a guy that I always looked up to, and there's a reason why he won all those championships, because he viewed practice as a game. Because he did that, he made the players that practice with him compete a lot harder. And I think he went hand in hand. There's a lot of guys that he played with that became better because of his practice habits. For me, when you win all those championships, and I know the Michael Jordan story, that he got cut from his high school basketball team and just kept his nose to the grindstone. Look where he ended up. And, I think that that name would maybe coming up in our locker room at some point, and just his accomplishments and how he did it.
Yeah, that lit a fire in him when he got cut as a freshman.
Yep.
Probably the best thing that ever happened to him. So we look forward to training camp. The players are arriving next week, getting all their, I guess they call that their baseline readings of like their heart rate and their oxygen levels, et cetera, when they're on the treadmill. And we got a handful of games, the first game of which is Saturday night, September 7th versus the Tri-City Americans. And then we get rolling with the regular season versus the Seattle Thunderbirds, Saturday, September the 21st. Don Nachbaur, first-year coach with the Wenatchee Wild Hockey. Obviously, you've had a long history since the 90s and the 2000s coaching and playing this game for many decades. It's a pleasure to have you in town coaching our Wenatchee Wild.
Well, thanks so much. Appreciate that, and look forward to the season starting, and, of course, working with you guys.
Don, take care.
All right, thank you. Take
Thanks.
care.
All right. So good to talk to him.
I know, right?
Right? He's such a nice guy. He makes it easy for us.
He does, and he's a guy who's been. He knows the program here. He knows some of our staff that have been around from back when his son was playing here about 2015, 2016. So he knows the program. He knows the community, and he's really got an interest in helping to build the program and promote the team as he's here.
So fast forward a couple hours after this conversation with Don Nachbaur, coach of the Wild, Austin Draude, voice of the Wenatchee Wild on the radio. The Wild had a trade with the Prince Albert Raiders, in which the Wenatchee Wild acquired a 2004-born defenseman, Easton Kovacs, from Prince Albert in exchange for a fifth-round selection in the 2028 WHL Prospects Draft. That brings up an interesting scenario. We now have 4 20-year-olds, and of course we got to make the cutoff to 3 by the holidays. So I can't wait to get Austin's feedback on what's going to happen there. We look forward to having Austin Draude and Don Nachbaur back on Your Eye for the Western Hockey League in future episodes. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give it a thumbs up, and it would mean everything for you to subscribe to this channel for more hockey content just like this. Remember to hit that notification bell so you get all the updates. See you on the next video. See you on the next podcast, available on any podcast platform or right here on YouTube.